Okay,
Oh,
do that. Let's see. I'm
we're,
going to switch.
we're live.
I'm,
We're live.
I'm going to switch computers too. Just to,
We're-
maybe it,
hey,
maybe it.
we're going.
Oh, all right. Well, here we are.
Hold on one second.
It's just audio though.
Casey the Beef Cragen, a special edition this afternoon. Why don't you tell the folks out there, everybody listening, all one of them, it looks like right now, tell the folks out there what I texted you at halftime.
I got to go back through. I had a whole bunch of folks texted me. Man, oh man, I had a whole bunch of people. And what did you text me at halftime?
I texted you it was going to be an epic comeback.
Epic comeback. Yeah, I didn't see 18 or was it 15 points at halftime being epic, but especially after last night. Heck, Maryland came back on Minnesota in 17 points at the end of the first in the fourth quarter. They scored 17 points. So I thought it could happen. I was telling Nelson, our big time follower and listener, that I didn't think the offense was the problem. And of course, he mentioned that the scoop and score, right? I mean, that was a 14-point swing, no question. But I had a feeling that the offense was still able to move the ball. I don't think we saw Will Spires in the first half, and if we did, I missed it. But I mean, I just felt really good about the offense, and I don't know what was going on. I know 3 guys out. We can make all the excuses in the world, but guys still got to play. But the back end seemed suspect again.
Very suspect. The whole defense didn't come out. Just looked like they weren't prepared to play. I often say that, or hardly ever say that, about a Brent Venables defense, but they just didn't look like on the first 2 drives. They just looked like they didn't. It wasn't a big deal, right? Like they didn't care. I mean, or were uninterested, for lack of a better term. But obviously, in the second half, they kicked it up because BC had a big fat goose egg in the second half. So. It was just a weird, strange game, right? There was penalties and lucky catches and horrible officiating calls, and I want to call that out, even though Clemson won. There was just tremendously bad officiating calls. He throws the ball 3 yards down the field, and they spend 5 minutes reviewing it to determine whether it was backwards. And like I texted you, it's like he missed the bounce of the ball, right? The ball went down and bounced weirdly backwards, but it's like the referee didn't even see that bounce. But they were just bad calls all throughout. And bad couldn't run the ball today or any of it. What happened today. And, DJ was on point. I have 2 nephews, and they texted me and said he didn't. I was going to do with DJ. Do with the defense and the run blocking.
Well, I think when you were talking there about the officiating, and I was texting with Nelson, yeah, I thought both the roughing the passer calls were tough calls. Now XT did Xavier Thomas did lead with his head, but he was already jumping. So if he didn't lead with his head, I don't see how that's roughing because he's already in the air. KJ, or who was it? Maskell on the one before, it was literally bang bang, and I'm all for protecting the quarterbacks. I'm all for it because Clemson benefited from one as well that was also probably a little shaky, but it was still based on what they had already called. They had to make that call, right? I don't know if the officials. Thankfully, Clemson won, and that's my true allegiance. But I don't know if the officials necessarily tried to steal one. I'm not one to complain about them, but you do both those roughing the passer penalties. What was the result of the play? Interceptions both times, right? So it could have been game-changing calls on those plays. So it takes momentum just straight away, and I hate when that happens. And there were a lot of flags today, a lot on BC, a lot on Clemson, stupid stuff from Clemson, stupider stuff on BC. Heck, how many times did that poor kid punt? 3 times in a row? Good Lord. Chad Yarber was texting me saying his leg hurt just from watching that thing. So I don't, thankfully Clemson won, so we don't have to talk about officials because I hate that whining and crying. Our good friend Tom Gladishevsky does that for Ohio State and he still is crying. So I don't want to be that guy
later. He'll be doing that later as Penn State rolls. I want to bring up the officiating because I don't want to complain when it loses, right? I want to complain when it's just bad officiating. And I'm not saying that it seemed like in the first half or most of them, and in the second half, completely around. It was just bad. I mean, when you've got to 5 minutes reviewing a play of a forward pass, there was nobody within 20 feet of DJ pass. I mean, it's not like it's contested like the safety in the end zone. Just a weird game and a all the way around.
Locke said it. It's Halloween. He knew some weird stuff was going to happen, but you said it. Maybe the side judge didn't see it. Maybe it did bounce. Maybe the sun was coming. Maybe he only saw the bounce. I don't know, but that 5-minute review was laughable too.
Well, there were some other on the Boston College's end. I don't remember the plays. Like, why are we reviewing this play? Why are we spending 9 minutes and 48 seconds? We got 17 officials on the field. Why are we? It wasn't even close. And I was just like, I don't understand. And I texted you. I know you got 5,648 texts during the game. But I texted you and said, this is what I hate about replay. It's become the close calls anymore or the important plays. It's about every free play. 3rd and 17. Oh, did he gain 6 inches? 8 inches? Come on. Let's get the game going.
Yeah, I agree with you completely there. I really do. And even at the end, you heard the Clemson crowd get excited about when Xavier Thomas with his roughing the passer. They started cheering when they said it went to review. But I don't know if some of them didn't realize they're not reviewing the penalty. The penalty was already called, right? They were reviewing for targeting, which they didn't initially call. But Joe Tessitore definitely talked the refs into that one. Good night.
Well, yeah, and it was hilarious. Listen, I mean, half of me wants to say that the thing about his son, that was a great moment or whatever, because I've got a son, and that would be great. I guess I don't know. I'm never going to be an announcer, obviously, with this voice, but it's just so it was so obvious. I mean, it was obvious who he was pulling for, and I'm okay with that. But remember when Herb Street's boys went to Clemson and they said, well, he can never do another Clemson game again because his sons, he'll obviously be pulling for Clemson. But what about it was just a weird, crazy Clemson Boston College game for sure.
Good Lord. And like I said earlier, man, 36-28. Thank goodness that they came away with the win. Picks was part of a little parlay for entertainment purposes only that I put $2 on today. And I got that one, but it was I came, I think, 6 games short of winning money. I mean, for entertainment purposes. Yeah, it was crazy. And I really liked, I was texting with my wife's uncle, and he's out in Kansas, and he likes to rip me a little bit, and that's fun. But he said, what a great game. And I texted him back. I said, sometimes I yearn to be a neutral fan for games like this, because it wasn't a great game for me. I mean, I was up and down. I screamed. I woke my kid up from his nap. Like it was my wife's looking at me side eye. I had to come to the basement. My hands were shaking. I mean, it was not fun for me at all.
Hey, Zach Locks Parker is checking in. He's our regular contributor. He has halftime. He shaved his head. I told him to shave his butt in the third quarter when it got close. We were running out of things to shave there at the end of the game. But anyway, here's what I take away. My takeaways is DJ. The future looks bright with DJ at quarterback. The run blocking on the offense. I'm sorry to all those Clemson writers who don't want us to say anything negative, and apologies to Dabo. But the run blocking is not very good still. You see what happens when Lynn J goes in there, right? It's not the same as it was last year. That's my clue. That's my key, right? Travis is going to Travis. Obviously the best in the history of the ACC. But when Lynn J goes in there, he can't get anything. He was averaging 3.5 yards a carry, I think, is what I heard JP's cohort there, Brad Sinkiff, say, and he didn't get anything today. He lost 4 or 5 yards because there's no blocking on the runs.
It really seems like when Travis can get around the edge too, that's when he's most successful. Heck, his record-breaking run was that 15-yard off a pitch. And he had 2 or 3 of those today that broke for 8, 10, 12 yards. And I was texting with Nelson going, why aren't – and Brandon Pilgrim, former lineman for Clemson. I was like, why are we not attacking the edges more? And this is because I don't know anything. This isn't because, I know how to scheme an offense. I don't. But it's working. So, I'm a big common sense guy. I'm a huge common sense guy. The little passes to Amari Rodgers worked last week. Take them. The little swing passes and the pitches out to Travis are working. Keep doing it until we say, all right, we know it's coming this 7th time in a row because it works.
Well, I figured out what needed to happen for Travis to get a carry on the first play of the game, and that is for Trevor Lawrence not to be a quarterback because they never give it to him. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? But Justin, our second super fan, checks in and says his takeaway is the future has some bright spots, but holes need to be filled on that defense. Obviously, but they were without 3 starters, Justin. I mean, if that was the full loaded Brent Venables defense, I'd agree with you. But in the 3 guys they were missing, 2 of them are the biggest guys on the defense, in my opinion, and Tyler Davis. It's a whole different defensive line with Tyler Davis in there, and of course Skalski.
And even Mike Jones, he allows you to do he allows you to even and do some things at the linebacker. He's definitely a better cover linebacker than the other 2, maybe, especially Venables and Balin Spector. But one thing that I noticed early was the first play of the game. I warned everybody, especially because I'm the Clemson. I'm such a I read everything about the opponent, right? Debbie Downer when it comes to Clemson football. I always see the good in the other team. But Zay Flowers, I said, was going to be a difference maker. In the first play of the game, he's one-on-one with Nolan Turner. So I was like, oh, God. And I love Turner. I think he plays hard-nosed. He plays to his level, right? But one-on-one with their best receiver, and I think it was smart play by BC, but I said this is going to be a long day.
Well, he was good. And BC played like BC always.
He was good early. He was non-existent late.
I don't know if you caught that text. What did I tell you? I said, it's early. It's early. But yeah, he was good early, and BC plays hard, and they made some great plays and some lucky plays, and I mean it all worked out, I guess, in the end. Hey, we got someone I hadn't seen before in our comments, Neil Pintilla. Sorry, Neil, if I pronounced your name wrong. He wants to talk about the decision to punt on 4th and 1. I was a go for it guy. Parker and I were sitting there watching the game, my 14-year-old son, for those who don't know. And I was a go for it guy, but I also said, I will say this. I did say, well, maybe Parker said, well, they're going to get the ball in the 20. And I said, well, maybe not. Maybe he'll knock it out to 5 or 8 or something. And that worked out in the long run. But I was the guy, I'll be upfront and say, I wanted to go for it because BC had 1 timeout, I think, at that time, or none. I don't remember. But it would have ended the game right there. They still would have had to go 56 yards. A field goal wasn't going to work for BC. They needed a touchdown.
No, I'm the opposite. I was definitely a punt guy there, and I'm never a punt guy. But I just thought that the way that they were starting to use Hunter Long, now granted he got 1 other catch, but they were starting to use that little for 6 yards and just nickel and diming us to death down the field. I said that's way too short a time to start nickel and diming us with Hunter Long. And even David Bailey Jr. was getting some good gashes of 4 or 5 yards. I just thought that there was too much time for those type of plays, even though the clock would be running with no timeouts. I thought it was a good call at the 49, 50-yard line to punt, and there's no one better than that run 35-yard kick and hopefully roll that way in the country than Will Spires. He's not going to boom at 70 yards, but he's going to get 13, 14 yards of roll. So I was a punt guy.
All right. Well, I was a go for it guy, but you're probably right. Now, in retrospect, with that offensive line and the troubles they've had running and handing the ball off. For that matter, today, it could have led to disaster. But I think, Brandon, as you tell me, because Lynn probably doesn't chime in and watch this show, though she should.
She does. She does.
He says we missed Skalski, and I think we could all agree with that. Justin says the secondary took a beating. No doubt. They look, I saw who was it at the end of the game? It was Kendrick. He was celebrating on that long bomb they threw, Boston College threw, and almost connected.
Where he
was celebrating it being incomplete, like he had him covered. I was like, the guy had you beat by 3 yards, dude.
I was asking Brandon if he thought it was a safety over the top or something, because I don't know how the heck that happened. I don't know.
I don't know which one of us is on Brian's left, but
it's probably you.
We're 1 for 2 as a team. Okay. Yeah, it was. And BT Potter, what is going on with the going for 2 was ridiculous, in my opinion. Now, Brandon Pilgrim, chime in here, but you got all the momentum in the world. It's not going to be the last.
He's texting me. I got his text from this place, so go ahead.
It's not going to be the last score of the game, most likely. Why are you going for 2? What is the point? You're losing your momentum there. Make your team feel good. Kick the extra point, because then a field goal later puts it out of reach or makes it a 2-score game. So I don't know. I don't agree with going for 2 with, what was there? It was like 8 minutes to go in third quarter.
Yeah. I have the play sheet here. It was.
And Brandon's checking in again, saying Kendrick looked terrible. You could tell.
Well, he was who I was texting with, because former player. They always said, though, in my mind anyway, he's got an inside look at it. Even though he was normally with me at the games, and even with the away games, I'd go to his house and watch them. But still, he said, and it's not safe for work. So he said, "What in the actual beep is Dabo doing? I've never questioned him, but good Lord." So that was on that play there.
Well, and I think that's just something, we caught a little flack for, or maybe I did on the Facebook page, for questioning Dabo last week, and you got to do it again, right? You're not saying he's a horrible human being or a bad person or even a bad coach. It's just, what are you doing taking 2 timeouts to eventually kick an extra point that was missed? And I know the first one ever by BT. So you can't really argue with that, but I mean, 2 timeouts for an extra point, just kick the dang thing and move on.
Yeah, I didn't really understand the going for 2 there either. And as much as I'm a go for it guy, I'm a not go for 2 guy. But if you noticed, and I'm going to switch gears a little bit here, maybe the people out there could talk to me. That first one where they finally took they went down by 2, I guess. That was the national championship play, the pick to 13. Except that DJ threw it to his back shoulder and Spector turned the wrong way. But it was a pick play, looked very familiar to Tampa, Florida, back in 2016.
I think the throw was so far off that I didn't notice it was the same play.
Same play.
But yeah, so I take away this. DJ, the future's in good hands with DJ. Needs some work on the offensive line. I think the defense will be fine if they get the starters back. What worries me is Tyler Davis being out and being injured a good part of this year. You could say Skalski's the heart and soul of the defense, and I believe that. But, man, Tyler Davis in the middle makes a huge difference for me.
Well, you notice that they're not getting – and he's still playing 3-man front, and they're not getting a ton of push. Brzie's a man. I mean, Brzee is taking 2 guys most of the time. Myles Murphy was kind of silent today. You didn't really see him a lot. Saw a lot of KJ on the other side. I like you said, one player that I do want to call out, and I meant to do this way earlier in the show, is Cornell Powell. He really felt like finally DJ. It felt like DJ's favorite receiver, right? For finally we have a go-to and alpha almost a little bit, even though he was catching in the slot. He looked great. He had 11 catches for over 100 yards. He was fantastic, but it kind of came at the expense of Amari Rodgers, who had a couple nice catches, but he was limited in his targets today. I really was happy to see 17 getting a lot of play today.
Yeah, a 12-year senior eclipsed Hunter Renfro's record for being there longest of anybody in the world. No, I said that early in the season. It's real after the first game, I believe. I said that it's really good to see him getting some opportunities. I didn't know he was going to get 14 or whatever it was today, but at one point he said he had 11 catches. He might have had a couple after that.
He had
But
11 for 105. 11 for
okay.
105. Yeah.
But that's another thing I wanted to say. That's a great another point, another takeaway is there's still not anybody deep. Powell was more of a possession type receiver, right? Now he did great and he had some longer plays, 12 to 15-yard range, but there's no Justin Ross or T. Higgins out there still. And I don't even remember, was Ladson out today? I don't even remember seeing him.
I saw him on the sidelines. I was literally just going to bring that up. I didn't notice him on the field once, and according to the stats that I have up on my phone right now, he had no catches. I would have wrote it down too because I scripted every play, but nothing.
Or Ngata, right?
No.
So we see
just 6 receivers caught passes today.
3 starters out on defense. Trevor Lawrence, Ladson apparently didn't play much, and same with Ngata. So they're out a couple of receivers, and they still managed to win. And the answer to this is I did see Galloway on the field because one point on the fourth down, the first fourth down, the one they went for, I texted you and said, Galloway.
Yeah, and he was open too.
Yeah. So we think Galloway did play. Well, I know he played because I saw him. But so just a strange game. This is one where Dabo was right in a way, right? Just win. That's all we want to do is win the game. And that's the way it worked out today. That's totally different than what happened last week. But you got to wonder, when is Clemson going to come with their A game? And then hopefully it'll be next Saturday night.
Yeah, we've had 3 of these, right? Everyone says, especially on the social medias, Clemson has one of these a year. Well, we've had 3, if you're really being honest with yourself. We've had Virginia, then we had last week against Syracuse, and now this week against Boston College. This was a really true scare. Those other 2 may not have been necessarily true scares. This was down 18. This was down 15 at halftime. How many times did Joe Tessitore say, no team has ever come back from 18 points? Oh, look at my son. Oh, he said down 18 and so many things. And thank you, Lynn, for changing your shirt at halftime. We appreciate that. I did notice that Brandon wasn't texting me around halftime, so maybe he changed his shirt too. So
I was going to say, who's going to break it to him that it wasn't really him changing his shirt, but Zach was shaving his head.
I also brought my shirt down with me, put it on my lap, so it was with me too. This is Daddy wears a purple shirt. I know on some shows you don't wear purple for Clemson games, but I do here, and it was a lot of it changed the tide. So I fully think everything coming together, all these shirt changes and things being shaved, really helped our Tigers win today.
Everybody has their thing, and I personally think it was me texting you at halftime saying this is going to be an epic comeback, and I will find that on my phone, and we'll have it up for the show on Wednesday. But we're going to do this show win or lose because that's kind of guys we are want to be. The thing with winning all the time, thanks. Most of the time is that talk to LSU about January. Most of the time is that those losses hit hard, right? It was going to be a tough afternoon if Clemson didn't come back and win that game. So.
No question about it. I even warned you. I said we may have to put a not safe for work and explicit on this if we were coming on after the first half performance.
That's right. That's how I responded. When you sent that text, I responded, "It's okay. It's going to be an epic comeback." And
that's when it was.
I was lucky this time. And Gigi, thank you for changing your socks. Hey, did you wear those?
Only weird if it doesn't work. That's what that old commercial used to say. So,
Gigi, please put those socks on before the game next week, okay? Put them on before the game. Oh, man, what a game. And by the way, so Clemson ended up pulling it out. And here's the difference between now and previous years is Michigan was a 24 or 21 point favorite, and they did not pull it out. So Michigan State beat Michigan today. So they were not I didn't think they were as good as advertised after their 1 week. Coronation is a team that could compete with Ohio State. But so Michigan State beat Michigan earlier today. What's up? What else is going on, Casey? Do you know any other scores?
No, just got checked in from Dale Nelson. I believe he's the baseball coach at. I'm going to get this wrong. He was at Lawrence for a long time. I think he's in somewhere in Greenville. He's a buddy of a buddy, but a buddy of mine. He's checking in, saying hello too. So just giving him a shout out as well. So thanks, Dale, for checking in.
No doubt. We want to thank everybody who joined this. Oh, there he is. Casey, I was sweating. I love the podcast. Thank you, Dale. Hey, I used to sweat when I was younger, but I'm not as young as you guys anymore. So I just kind of lay back and go, okay, it'll happen. It'll work out or it won't. Not a big deal. I say that now, but it's easy to say.
And I think when I was in South Carolina, living in it, and I worked with a bunch of South Carolina folks and Clemson folks, and North Carolina, you get ripped constantly. And I'm a little fragile sometimes with my emotions about my Tigers. But now that I'm up here in the Northeast, it's very rare, but I would get the text constantly. The people I hadn't talked to in months texting me, "Oh, saw your Tigers," or even my parents would be like, "What happened?" And I'd be like, "I don't want to talk to you right now." So that's what I avoided this week. They're going to come with, "Oh, I thought they'd beat BC by more." I have my parents' best friends in the world. Their grandson is a freshman at Boston College. We do a after Thanksgiving brunch with their family. It's all a whole bunch of us. He was going to be there. That's like going through my mind. So that's why I'm sweating bullets constantly. Like I can't let this 18-year-old kid talk trash to me after Thanksgiving when I'm trying to enjoy a football game.
28 degrees outside and he's sweating bullets. Zach Locke Parker checks in after the shaving and says, "How are we feeling about next week?" I'm feeling fine. They've eventually got to have a good game. It wasn't last week, despite what Dabo says, and it wasn't this week. So I'm thinking it's got to be next week, but I'm really worried about the running game when number 9's not in there. So how do you feel about next week?
Yeah, I think I agree. I'm watching Notre Dame now, despite not telling other people that I am not watching it. I'm watching them. Thank you, Dale. Hillcrest High School. That's where he's the baseball coach. Anyway, it is what it is. I'd like that DJ's going to have a full week with the first unit this week. Man, he can throw the ball. I think I'm the only person that hasn't said it yet on the show, so I'm going to say it now. Our future's bright, man. And I was a little nervous at the beginning of the game, just maybe if he'd be a little hyped up. Now, Brandon and I were talking, and I'll give him credit. He said when he sprints out to the left, which is one of Trevor's really good throws, he was high. He said his hips are flying open a little bit. That's mechanics. He'll get that worked out. Streeter will get on him. They'll look at it on film and yada yada. But I think
Brandon and Joe Testor, it's McElroy. mentioned that like 49 times, I think.
Yeah. But but use his strengths, and he's going to have a week now to work with everybody. We got fights going on now. We got Nelson fighting Zach. Anyway, yeah. So am I worried? You know me. I'm going to be worried because it's Clemson and a decent opponent. But we'll see. Well, I like where it's going. We didn't know that Trevor was going to be out till Wednesday, Thursday, right? So that gives DJ one practice with everybody. I like where this is heading if this is the case, because I really don't think Trevor's playing next week.
I'm not sure. Nelson is Zach's biggest fan, so I'm not sure why he's telling him to shut up. But Nelson, that is our first YouTube comment. We're live on YouTube. We do have a YouTube channel too. I think, as I always joke during the week, the only person who knows about it is Casey's pseudo nephew, William Coe. But we do have a YouTube channel. We're live on YouTube right now. So if you're a YouTube person versus Facebook, check it out.
And his picture's coming up all clear too and big, showing him on the bike.
Yes, Nelson, we won by 50.
He and I were texting a lot too. He caught a lot of my wrath today too, poor guy.
Okay, Casey, tell me this. I'm an old dude and I don't get texts from hardly anybody. I don't talk to my friends or my nephews did text me, during the game, talking about how old I was, so I appreciate that. Rob C and Mikey Mike, as I call them, the duo, they did text me during the game. So how many texts do you get during the game?
Oh, my goodness. Brandon is my go-to, and now Nelson's become my go-to too. And then we're on with the groups. So
wait a second. Aren't you forgetting somebody?
Well, these guys are my go-to. Like they come constantly, in a good way. Like especially Brandon. Brandon and I, we've been doing this now for years. He was texting me at the national championship last year, so we've been doing this since we connected back in 2015. Probably, I don't know. I got a couple of my gambling degenerates that were texting me about Coastal Carolina. Like I needed to hear about that during the Clemson game. I probably had about 115 text messages probably throughout that game today.
Okay, so you're lucky. I have bad eyes, and sometimes I don't bother to put on the readers to text, so I just say, I'll tell him about it later. We'll talk about it.
Oh no, don't take offense to that. I would be okay with 0, but I got to tell somebody, right? My 3-year-old asking me to read books about Paw Patrol, so can't really tell him about run blocking.
Oh, well, Texas and Oklahoma State are tied up at 7-7. I pulled up the scores to see what else. Notre Dame and Georgia Tech 7-7 in the second quarter.
Wow.
Rutgers undefeated. Scarlet Knights 7-3 over Indiana in the second quarter. That's really all that's going on here. But the other game I thought was kind of intriguing. Georgia 14, Kentucky 3. Final score. That's not the first quarter. That's not halftime. You think Clemson's got problems?
Yeah. Auburn's up 7-0 on LSU as well early on in this game. So that's the game I happen to have behind me right now.
Nelson's happy Michigan lost. That's one of the games I picked this morning. So I'm also happy. Did pretty good except for bet against Cincinnati. Lesson learned. They crushed Memphis. So
if Rutgers wins today, they'll be 2-0 and playing Ohio State next week. Just saying. Put it out there.
On the way to 2-8.
A little bit of foreshadowing to we're maybe picking the game on Wednesday, because yours truly is picking the games for Wednesday.
That's right, Nelson. So when the games are picked and you don't like the picked game, the games that we pick, it's Casey the Beef Cregan's turn to pick the games this week. So you don't know. He may pick Rutgers and Ohio State over Clemson and Notre Dame. I'm not sure.
And Coastal. Sure. Coastal will be on there too.
Look, we picked Coastal Carolina game one time, and I think that absolves us for the next 15 years. So I think we're good. So we'll wrap this up, Casey. I told you about 20 minutes, but man, every time I talk college football with you, I love it and enjoy it, and it's a lot of fun for an old dude. I don't have any friends close because of where I live. I told you this on text earlier that it must be because I look out my door and I see all these Texas Longhorn flags and, grills and cars and, cars with the Longhorns on them. So it's really nice to talk to somebody who loves Clemson as much as I do. I mean, I think you spent 17 years there as an undergraduate from what I'm understanding. So that is true love.
Yeah, not only that, but I went back for another year and a half too. So yeah, it is. It's definitely a place that this will be the first year since 1995 that I haven't gone back for a home game, which is a long time for this old guy. But it's fantastic. I'm so glad the boys came out to win today. I still wear my emotions on my sleeve when it comes to Clemson. I mean, it gets me. My hands literally were shaking a little bit before. I'm like, why can't I text? Oh, because I'm nervous and my hands are shaking. Never would expect it, and it's one of those things that unless you lived it and died it, and we're 3-8 your sophomore year, my first sophomore year, I don't know if you get it. So it's one of those things. If you get it, you get it, and a lot of people get it.
And I used to be that way, man. I used to really be that way. But you know what calmed me down? You know what did it for me?
Beer.
Well, that helps. That helps. And I'm 4 in, by the way, 4. But I'm Deshaun Watson in. But what really helped was Deshaun Watson to Hunter Renfrow. Right. That solved all my problems, and I don't worry as much anymore. I had all the good luck and the shirts and the underwear and everything. I don't need them anymore. Those guys are good. It's amazing how you don't need good luck. You don't need good luck charms when your guys are better than the other guys they're playing.
Yeah, they are good too, and we have to remember that each and every week. And I think that's why some of this ire is coming from some of the fans, is that especially Dabo's words are coming back to haunt him. I guess for some of the fan base saying best is the standard, and then you get some performances that are, in our opinion, a little less than standard. But I take win in advance, man. I truly am a believer of win in advance. Yes, we were 26.5-point favorites when it closed today. I don't care that they didn't cover. That doesn't bother me one bit.
I don't care either because I took Boston College.
I think I did too. I did.
Yeah, you did. It's Zach Locks Parker who's the big loser of the day. But yeah, that's all I was trying to say last week is best is the standard. It's not a shame to go, hey, we didn't play last week. We didn't play very well today, and we still won the game. That's a testament to how good our team is, and we'll work on it during the week. Yes. Tell me that. Don't tell me, I'm low. Maybe I need to go somewhere else. Just please. Anyway.
Win is a win.
A win is definitely a win. Casey, thank you so much for your time today.
Enjoyed it, as always.
Yeah, a lot of fun. And you know, I mentioned this show afterwards. And well, let's do this first. Thank everybody for the comments and just being here to watch us. We so much enjoy speaking our mind and having you guys speak your mind. It's really a lot of fun for us. So we appreciate everybody who contributes on the Facebook page or watches the video. It's a lot of fun for us, and we sincerely appreciate it.
Yeah, as much as I like talking to Marty straight up one-on-one, the interaction with you folks is fantastic. Maybe one day we could get a phone line, so we'll have people calling in, but doubtful unless we get a sponsor here soon.
No doubt. All right, we're checking out for now, folks. Thank you so much for joining us. Wednesday night, 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central. I'm the only one Central on this thing. But hey, 7:30, we'll be back. We'll be talking about Notre Dame. I got plans for a little special guest interlude, so we'll see how it works out. Oh, is Brandon joining us on Wednesday? No pressure.
I didn't ask him yet, but yes, this is his official invite. If he wants to come on this, I'll text him later. He'll come on Wednesday at 7:30.
Brandon, we plan on you being with us on Wednesday at 7:30. So let us know if that
former Clemson All ACC lineman Brandon Pilgrim.
Very cool, Casey. Appreciate it. Man. We're gonna check out later.
Thanks.